Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has defended his government's response to the catastrophic earthquake in Turkey and Syria. Erdogan says it was almost impossible to prepare for the disaster, considering its scale. The death toll from the quake has now reached more than 15,000. International rescue teams have joined forces with local emergency crews in the worst affected areas, but hope of finding more survivors is fading fast. And in many places, like Turkey's Hatay province, residents say they've seen little outside help.
For days, these residents have spent the night here, camped amongst the ruins of homes in Hatay province, one of the hardest hit by Monday's quakes. They say they can still hear voices coming from under the rubble, but have been left without any help to save their loved ones. Rescue teams, equipment and emergency support is now starting to arrive here, but many fear it's come too late. And their frustrations are now turning to anger. We have 30 dead in there. Is our state really incapable? Are they so incapable? I have no words. 30 bodies have been lying here until the morning. Turkey's president is acutely aware of the fingers now being pointed at him and his government's response to the disaster. And while visiting some of the worst affected areas on Wednesday, he did admit that they had encountered some problems. Certainly there have been shortfalls. As the conditions have become clear, it is impossible to prepare to face a disaster like this. The opposition leader sees things differently, though, blaming the president for the destruction. There is only one person responsible for this catastrophe, and that is Erdogan. For 20 years, he has failed to prepare the country for earthquakes. International emergency and rescue teams are now up and running, with crews from more than 24 countries taking part in the rescue mission. And despite fears that the window to find more survivors is closing, there is still hope that more people may be found alive. With moments like this, providing emergency teams with all the motivation they need to carry on the search for signs of life.
Let's bring in our correspondent Terry Schultz here. She's at an aid center in Adana. That's one of the worst affected regions in southern Turkey. Terry, what's the situation there right now?
Good morning, Terry. We are currently in a suburb of Adana, Çukurova, and it, in fact, is not one of the areas hardest hit by the quake, but we spent time here yesterday at collapsed buildings, and I just spoke with the mayor who said 400 people in his community have been lost. And as you can see behind me, there are some 400 tents and 1,200 people here. But as we have seen throughout the country, people seem to be in relatively good spirits, and most of all, they are so welcoming. And I just want to share with you some new friends I made immediately upon arrival here. This is Irene. She's 8 years old. And Mirkan, come here. And when I came up with my TV makeup on my face, they said, "Can we have some lipstick?" And so, Irene, you asked me to give you lipstick, didn't you? And look at her. And Mirkan, she's only 3. Her lipstick has gone a bit awry, but all of us know exactly how that goes. Yeah. Thank you, girls. And as you can see, of course, we do have their parents' permission. Oh, my gosh, highlight of my day, definitely. So, sorry for the noise behind us. There are trucks arriving here with aid. And as I said, I just spoke with the mayor of Çukurova, who said that they have enough food and enough water for the moment, but no one knows how the situation will continue to develop. Oh, my girls are still here. Terry?
Yes, many people, Terry, in the affected regions there are angry that help hasn't arrived sooner. What are you hearing from those you're talking to there?
Yes, of course, we see those reactions. I read them. I keep track of them on other media. And I did ask the mayor about this. I said, are you receiving aid from the national government? What has President Erdogan delivered to you? And he said that they are mostly getting local donations. There are piles of clothes around. We saw some bread delivered. And again, this is not an area that is facing the absolute worst devastation. The buildings around us right now are still standing and not visibly damaged. But he said they will need aid in the days to come. In addition to the 1,200 people living in these tents, he said there are thousands sleeping in the streets, burning what they can find to stay warm. And there's no telling how long this situation will go on. We've been feeling, we've been hearing about the aftershocks continuing. And so people are very concerned that while they may feel okay today on a sunny day with no aftershocks, no one has any idea how long they are going to need to continue supporting people who can't go back to their homes.
Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has declared a 3-month state of emergency. Is that something that's likely to help people on the ground there, Terry?
Well, I think that will be their hope if the situation continues. The mayor did not talk to me about what kind of national programs they might be needing. But of course, you've heard our other reporters talk about this across southern Turkey. Again, here where I am right now, people seem to have enough of everything. In fact, as I've been reporting, they keep trying to give us juice. I've got a cup of tea here on the ground. Someone just came by and asked Adrian if he wants some soup. So they seem to be okay for now. But no one knows how long that will last. And again, throughout the rest of this region, people are in much, much worse condition. And here, the people standing around me say time and again, thank you for coming. Thank you for your help. Please keep us in your thoughts. We are going to need more international assistance.
Speaking of international assistance, Terry, are you seeing some international relief workers in that region? Are you seeing Turkish relief workers in the form of the army, for example?
Well, here at the aid center, there's no army, but all the tents that you see behind me, they have AFAD on them. This is the Turkish National Relief Organization. So they have set up the tents. The workers here are from that organization. So clearly they do have support from the national organizations at the moment. We do not see any international aid workers nor anyone speaking English here in this camp, which is not so surprising. Perhaps the aid is best needed elsewhere, particularly in the search and rescue operations. Again, yesterday we saw the Bulgarian Red Cross on the scene with the sniffer dogs, and they were moving on to other areas where there were still people believed to be buried. And I can just say that it bolsters everyone's spirits when, as we heard this morning, people are still being pulled alive from the rubble in other parts of southern Turkey. So rescue operations will not cease.
Terry, thank you very much for now. Our correspondent Terry Schultz there in southern Turkey. The United Nations is hoping to resume aid deliveries to Syria, broken off by the earthquakes. Rescue efforts in Syria are being complicated by the 12-year civil war. The affected area is divided between government-controlled territory and a rebel-held enclave where millions rely on humanitarian aid delivered through Turkey. A DW team is in the region, including one colleague who lost his own house. This exclusive report comes from the town of Harem.
Digging through the rubble in the Syrian town of Harem. Just one of hundreds in the region that have been flattened by the quake. Rescuers often just using their bare hands or the most basic of tools. Rafat is one of the locals frustrated by the lack of proper digging machinery. That's compounded by exhaustion after working 2 days without sleep. We need help from other countries. We're getting some equipment, but we have people under the rubble and we're trying to pull them out. We have mallets, but what good are mallets? What we really need is heavy equipment to rescue people. They've been under the rubble for 48 hours, and we need heavy equipment to get them out. Some bulldozers have arrived, but they're not nearly enough given the widespread scale of destruction. And hopes of finding more survivors are diminishing by the hour. While the able-bodied assist with rescue efforts, others are left to ponder what's next for them.
We don't have any clothes or any possessions anymore. We were in the streets in the rain, without socks or anything. We don't have anyone to stay with. My siblings died in Aleppo.
Rafat and the other helpers in Harem will continue to hammer away until their mission is complete. And after that, they'll have another massive task: rebuilding their village.